Can y'all hear me? Is this working now? Hello, John. Can you hear me? Yes. Finally. Okay. Alrighty. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. You've been listening to a song by JT Wild called Living in the Matrix. It's actually really good. I tried to go on Facebook Live, but it wouldn't go through. Then I tried to go back on YouTube Live using my computer, and well, that didn't work either. So, I'm just giving everybody a chance to find this video and come on in. If you guys are watching now, I know April's watching. April, can you do what we had talked about, sending this video to the parents group and putting it on my Facebook page? So we'll listen to this out. Just give folks a chance to get in here. Alrighty. Okay, so that's done. All right, thank you so much, April. Okay, so the setup on this didn't go as I had planned. I wanted to be able to use my phone to be able to read the information that I have for you guys this evening. So you will have to bear with me because I will have to use my computer, and I'm hoping, okay, cool, that looks good. I can make things a little bit bigger and be able to focus on this. Okay. So, what am I doing this evening? Well, we all know that 2 weeks from tonight will be election day. There's many different races going on. There's many different debates going on. There's a lot of confusion on who to vote for. Where do people stand? How can you find out if somebody's being truthful with you or not? And so, we have to start locally to be able to fix our country. And it's our responsibility, it's our civic duty as American citizens to vet the people that are running for office of any kind. And it's kind of like what Kari Lake said, the lady that's running for governor in Arizona. She said it's a job interview, and her people that are questioning her are her employers. And so she is answering the question. She is doing the debates because we, the people, we are the interviewers of the folks that are running for office. They are the interviewee. So it's important for them to be able to stand up and answer questions when presented. And so I did this because I feel it's very important that you get folks on record on where they stand, and I think that's very important for that to be done. So, when I vet a candidate, there's two things that I look for. I look for transparency and courage. And let me just move this camera just a little bit so I can read my screen. So, what is the real meaning of courage? Courage is the quality of being ready and willing to face negative situations involving danger or pain. A close synonym is bravery. Showing courage is often thought of as facing such situations without fear, but it also involves facing them despite fear. Now, there's a reason why I'm mentioning the definition of courage. The next thing I look for is transparency. So, what is the meaning of being transparent? Having transparency. Transparency is in a process involves it being completely visible and open to scrutiny so that it's clear that nothing is being hidden. This sense of the word is especially used in the context of politicians, government agencies, and businesses, and calls for them to be more transparent or increase their transparency. So those were two things that I was looking for as I sent questions to those that are running for school board. Now, yes, here in Alamance County, we have 6 candidates running for school board, and there's 3 positions that need to be filled. The 6 people that are running for school board are Leonard Harrison, Charles Parker, Chuck Marsh, Seneca Rogers, Avery Wagner, and Dan Engel. Now, I posed 4 questions to each of the candidates today. Like I said, I was looking for 2 qualities: transparency and courage. Well, how did that go? So I found everybody on Facebook Messenger, and I sent them all the 4 questions that I had. Now, the 4 questions that I had for each person was: do you believe that mandating the vax for kids is appropriate and constitutional? Do you believe that the lockdowns were detrimental in our children's development? Do you support our children being subjected to drag shows and books in the libraries that contain porn content? And 4, do you believe the 2020 election was stolen? Now, I know that number 4 has nothing to do with the school board. That one was basically for me trying to see if the candidates would have the courage to answer that question. Because I feel like if you're running for a political office or an office of being a servant to the people, you should be able to answer any question that is presented to you. That's how I feel. So if I was running for office and somebody asked me that question, do you believe the 2020 election was stolen? I'm going to say yes. That's how you answer that question. Now, I know that if you're running for school board, you want to keep things, you want to keep politics out of it and just focus on the kids. So I'm giving the candidates a pass on whether they answered that question or not. But I did have some that did answer, and they gave very good answers, and I will be sharing those with you guys. So let's start off with the first question. No, before I do that, so out of the 6 people that I sent messages to, I had one, Avery Wagner, who has not responded. Now, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he hasn't seen the message. Maybe something's going on in his life where he couldn't respond. So I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Now, if he messages me back and answers the questions, I will do a little follow up on what he responded. So Avery Wagner is out of the picture on this for this video. The next one I need to address is Seneca Rogers. Now, this gentleman, he ran for school board in 2020, and from what I know, he lost. And so I sent him these 4 messages, or these 4 questions. And do you know that I was blocked on his Facebook Messenger? He didn't feel the need to even respond to me. He didn't feel the need to answer the questions. So I was a little shocked that he blocked me because I haven't done anything to him. He just didn't want to answer the questions. And so then I went to his official school board campaign site on Facebook, and I found a couple of his posts, and I asked him with a screenshot why he felt the need to block me. Well, there again, he blocked me on that site as well. So he's blocked me on his personal page. He blocked me on his campaign page. Then I went to Twitter and still got no response. So this gentleman, Seneca Rogers, does not want to answer any questions posed by the people that will be employing him. That should tell you something right there. That really should that should cause you to question, is he being transparent? Absolutely not. And does he have courage? No, he doesn't have courage to talk to me. So that's how I feel about Mr. Seneca Rogers. Now, I did have 4 candidates that did respond: Leonard Harrison, Charles Parker, Dan Engel, and Chuck Marsh. So let's get into what their responses were and we'll go from there. So the first question: do you believe that mandating the vax for kids is appropriate and constitutional? Now, this is where I got to use my computer. So Leonard Harrison said this: I've had the vax and booster. I've had COVID 5 times. My wife hasn't had any of them and had them. 3, natural immunity. And apparently she hadn't had the vax and hasn't had them. Natural immunity is every bit as good. So absolutely, I wouldn't endorse it and I'd stand heavily against requiring it. So that's how he felt about that. Now, Dan Engel said this. Absolutely not. That should solely be the decision of parents in regard to the vaccine. How many folks have gotten COVID after taking the vaccine? How many youngsters, especially males, have gotten deathly ill after taking the vaccine? How many variants of COVID are there? What are the long-term effects of the vaccine on our children? They, the CDC, can't answer these questions. So that was Dan's answer. Now let's go to Charles. Charles answered, I don't think that the vaccine should be mandated and would oppose it if it came before the board. And then Chuck Marsh responded, do I believe on a vaccine mandate for kids? A, I do not believe in a vaccine mandate for kids nor adults. I don't like mandates of any kind, and in a school board view, we should be giving parents their rights back. If it were left to a school board vote to mandate, I would not vote for vaccine on kids nor the staff. So that is a good response from those gentlemen as far as asking about the vaccine for kids. All right, let's move on to the second question. Do you believe that the lockdowns were detrimental in our children's development? All right. Leonard Harrison responded with, let me find it. The lockdown stunted the academic achievement of our students, and this is pointed out by the fact that we have the worst scores since the late 90s just come out. Was the decision by NC school boards to lock down stupid? Absolutely. With it having no worse than the flu's mortality rate, yet we harm the education of students. Was it worth it? Not only no, but hell no. Okay. And then, let's see, let's go to the next one. Dan Engel responded, if you go back to when I first announced my candidacy, you'll find that I announced that I was running because I saw firsthand how COVID had affected our children mentally, socially, and academically. This was caused primarily, in my opinion, by the 18 months that they were kept away from school. I was with middle schoolers coaching a girls' basketball team last fall, and I saw firsthand how COVID and the prolonged absence from school had affected our children, teachers, and parents. They were kept away from school much too long. This was my primary reason for running for the school board, and I have been consistent during my entire campaign in explaining this point. All right, let's go to Charles Parker. He said, yes, the biggest reason why I decided to run was how the school board handled remote instruction during the COVID lockdown. It was terrible for children. Chuck Marsh responded, I agree 100% that the lockdowns caused learning deficits, and I think there were a detriment to our kids' mental health as well. I think the outgoing board members kept them out of school too long and pushed the mask mandate for too long as well. Longer than most schools in North Carolina. All right. Now, let's move on to the third question. The third question was, do you support our children being subjected to drag shows and books in the libraries that contain porn content? All right. We'll start with Leonard Harrison. He responded, I am a staunch conservative Christian. The idea that the Bible is something people are happy to not see in schools, but porn and the trans ideology is simply leaves me bewildered. The idea of trans anything being accepted as anything other than mental illness is nuts. All right, let's go over to, let's see, is it Dan next? Yeah, let's go see what Dan Engel had to say about that. I wholeheartedly agreed with our superintendent, Dr. Butler, when he removed the first book. It was, in my opinion, pornographic and had no business in our schools. Drag shows are not appropriate for minors, and these books need not to be in our libraries. Okay. Now let's go to Charles. Drag shows are not appropriate for minors. Pornographic content should not be accessible to children in the school system, either in libraries or via the internet on school computers. And Chuck Marsh responded, do I support drag shows in schools and pornography in libraries? A, absolutely not. As a parent, I am not naive enough to think my kid isn't seeing that content elsewhere. But our schools should be free of that type of content. Our schools should be a place where we focus on the basics, which we've been struggling at for years before COVID. Our parents trust us with their babies, and we should consider that and honor and treat that privilege with care. I thought that was a very good answer. Yes, we are trusting the school board with our babies, our grandkids. You have a responsibility. It's your job to do the best for our children. That's just basically it. All right. Now, so those were the answers that I received on the first three questions. Now, the fourth question, like I said, the only reason I asked that one is because I wanted to see which school board members would have the courage to speak about something that is controversial. Now, the reason I do that or did that is because I speak about things that are controversial all the time, and nothing keeps me from not talking about it unless I get put in, censorship gets me. So the fourth question was, do you believe the 2020 election was stolen? And let's see what Charles Parker said about that. He said, hey, Jimmy, I'm happy to answer these, although I will restrict myself to things related to students and the school board. Okay, it's fair. Like I said, I didn't press anybody on these answers. All right, the next one, Chuck Marsh. This is what he said. Do I think the 2020 election were stolen? A, I'm running for school board, and it's my position to not allow any politics come between me and the parents' kids. I serve as much as possible. I know there will be topics that will possibly divide us at some point, but I want to serve all people no matter what side of the aisle. I will say that election integrity is extremely important to our community, our state, and our country. I'm for whatever it takes to make our elections secure and keeping the integrity of our process safe and secure. Voting is an amazing right, and we should cherish it. I thought that was a very courageous statement to make. I really did. All right, let's go to, is it Dan next? Yeah, Dan Engel. Did he respond on that? All right, so Dan says, as a 40-year veteran of law enforcement with years as a criminal investigator, it is my opinion that the 2020 election needs to be thoroughly investigated. It is my hope that Congress will flip here in the midterms and a thorough investigation will be conducted. I think the jury is still out until this is done in terms of the validity of the election. So, yeah, thought that was fair. And Leonard, did we do Leonard yet? No, we haven't done Leonard yet. Let's do him. What did he say? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. The election was stolen, but not how most think. Democrats and liberals, unelected members of the Board of Elections throughout America, changed the playing field without going through the state legislators. Yes, they did. Several have already had cases go through the state Supreme Courts, and the way Biden was elected found to be unconstitutional just this week. Delaware had changed rules unconstitutionally. It was a political sleight of hand, and the pandemic was used for their reason. Regardless, they cheated. Nothing like this has happened in American history has occurred. Had Justice Roberts not sandbagged the election by refusing to hear Texas versus Pennsylvania, we would have had 11 states with 0 delegates allowed due to their cheating. So yes, it was. So, like I said, question 4 was just my way of testing the candidates to see if they had the courage to answer that question. And so I had 3. Chuck, Dan, and Leonard had the courage to answer that question. And so I do want to thank them for doing that. So before I go any further, yes, I want to thank all the candidates from the Alamance Burlington school system who are running for school board and reaching back out to me and answering these questions. I do appreciate it. And this will get out and people will see it. So, this is what folks need to do. You need to find out who is running for certain offices in your area and just reach out to them. And if they respond, great. You're a journalist. Like I said, it's our civic duty to question these folks. And hopefully that they will answer it. Now, if they don't answer it, that should be a red flag. So, like I said, for Avery, I don't know much about the guy, so I got to be fair and give him a pass. Seneca Rogers, I know what platform he's pushing, and for him to just completely block me and not respond in any way tells me all I need to know. So, I hope that this video was helpful. I apologize for the technical difficulties that I had in the beginning. If you have any questions on what I presented tonight, feel free to reach out to me. And let's see. Let me look at oh, that's the only thing about doing these live videos. The questions, the comments come up and then they just disappear. So I'll go back and look at them and I'll respond to them. But if you want copies of the candidates' answers to these questions, if you want a copy of the questions so you can send them to your candidates, I'd be more than happy to provide that information for you guys. So again, I hope this was helpful. Y'all have a great night, and sending much love to each and every one of you. And remember, go vote on election day. Do not go vote early. That gives them a reason that makes cheating easier for them. So, yeah, go on election day. Do not do early voting. We know how they cheat, and we can break them by bucking their system. So, y'all have a great night. Again, sending much love and light to everyone. Take care.